The worst horror movie I ever saw was fucking great.
Hello and welcome to This May Hurt a Bit. My name is James Strayer and this is
John C. Myers.
And we're a horror franchise podcast discussing each film in popular and not so popular horror franchises. And today we are doing our wrap up of the Wishmaster series because there is no further to go once the prophecy has been fulfilled. That is the nail in the coffin of the Jinn, I think. I would say what a long, strange trip it's been, but it's only been 4 films. And I have to say that even though I really did enjoy talking about the previous film, the 4th one, kind of glad to be putting these to bed and moving on, I have to say.
Yeah. This one took a pretty stiff header after 2 with no sign of it swinging back around.
Right.
And I was kind of ready to be done. I mean, there was someone's like a novelization of the first one, like a redo of it in like 2020 or 2021 or something like that.
That recent, huh?
Yeah, it was really, actually, I'm wrong. It was 2022. It just happened.
We could have had a Wishmaster book club.
We could have, yeah. I'm not reading any damn book. I got to watch Wishmaster 4. But it was by Christian Francis, based on the screenplay by Peter Atkins. I have not checked it out yet. I'm kind of curious, honestly.
Yep.
It sounds like it's just a redo, of the first one. But if you're going to do more of them, like, go for it. What are you going to hurt?
Yeah.
Need to reboot it? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you can make it more like the first 2, that'd be all right.
Where would you go with a Wishmaster 5? Would you go for a 5th, or would you do like a legacy sequel where we forget about 2, 3, and 4? Only if you bring back Devoff, of course.
Yeah, you'd have to have Devoff, and that's a big lesson here too. So far, is that like of the films that we've done, if you're going to have a character, you're going to have a killer that is a personality. It's not just a guy behind a mask. It's just a physicality. Man, losing Devoff just hurt so bad. And I don't want to knock John Novik's performance as the Jinn, because there was a lot, like, he wasn't given much to work with, tight schedules, all this stuff. But just like that needs to anchor it. When that's not there, it really, really hurts the thing.
Yeah.
But I honestly, let's do Devoff's script, man. Let's make it big.
Yes.
It is like a huge idea. And it's it's told like a little bit compactly in that, like, it's basically in the first one, it's him trying to get this woman to just fulfill the prophecy, as it were. But like how he does it is big, and like the big party scenes and stuff like that. Those are the huge elements of the first 2, or those like mass events. And so when you take those away and or just shrink it down to just a guy blowing on another dude, throwing him into some antlers, it really loses a lot. But yeah, like, make it big, make these wishes more epic. And I think that'd be pretty interesting as well.
With as far as today's dollar can go on a horror script too, I still think you could make an impressive movie with like the Blumhouse rule of like less than 5 million. I don't know if they still keep to that anymore, but like I still think you can make a pretty solid $5 million Wishmaster movie.
Look, I mean,
and make it pretty impressive.
Yeah, if no one's paying CG people, why start? Like, let's do it under. No, I'm not making those accusations about Blumhouse or anything, but
yeah, totally.
But it would, you could. It would be a little bit easier to make a larger scale thing. I mean, whether you went all like CG or whatever. Granted, I'm unfamiliar with the particulars of Devoff's script, but I like the idea of going bigger than at least what the last 2. Adding some more elements to it would be a lot of fun. So yeah, probably more of like a legacy sequel to 2, but if you just rebooted it 2, that could probably work, but it's going to be tough to, like, the tone is so specific, and whether or not that would play now, I don't know. Because
we were already saying that this can't be, this one came out like maybe a little too late for tone. And I wonder if we're back to that or not.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly would find an audience with the fans it has, and horror people just gobbling up anything and everything.
Audience of 2 right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Tickets. I would check it out. Put Devoff in it, regardless of what you do. Put Devoff in it. I'm in there. That guy absolutely won me over. I'm such a huge fan of his performance.
I think I mentioned this maybe when we had stopped recording one night, but I don't want to be one of those actually Twitter guys or anything, but I would put Devoff's Wishmaster up there with all of the classic horror villains. You know, he's not Freddy Krueger, because who is? I think we can all agree that that's the top tier of personable, humorous performance and everything. But he's going to be right behind him.
Yeah.
I think he's like magnificent to watch. And it's important to have that kind of charisma.
It's unfortunate that enough stuff wasn't put behind it. Like it wasn't able to be continually K&B and stuff like that, because it is an effects movie. Like that's part of the thing. And so that's part of why I want it to get bigger, is that like to ramp up those effects, or just give them more stuff to do.
Yeah.
Just what can we do that's weird and goofy and would be fun? Let's do this. Because you could even, you can even do that. Like I was getting at, you could do that in a smaller story. So even if you don't want to go as Divoff's thing as big as that, you could still do another like big, Wishmaster terrorizes a bunch of people and to just roll out a bunch of different effects. And you wouldn't get a complaint from me.
No, not at all. I mean, especially if they kept them all practical, like the first films, or 80% practical. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, K&B effects is just as deserving of praise as Andrew Divoff is for the first two. Like these movies wouldn't be what they are without them. And I forget, like, did they fall off for like part 3 and part 4? It seems pretty likely.
I mean, there is no way they had the budget for them. Like,
exactly.
That was not going to happen. I mean, the little effects they did have, there were moments like Connery's hand gets reformed was pretty cool. There weren't really any good. The makeup, the monsters were pretty good in 4. The other Jim,
I love those actually. Yeah,
definitely a step down.
The face through the bars in part 2, or like the whole body squeezing through the bars in part 2 was actually pretty effective. Like that's kind of the closest to like a good K&B effect, I think.
Yeah, and they're good at the first 2 anyway are good at, and this is what we'll get into this a little bit when we're talking about Saw. So I don't want to tip my hand too much here, but having this like the body through the bars is just like this gory ridiculousness, but it's up at this like insane level. There's like Grand Canyon level that it's fun. It's not just like sadist to be sadist. Like
suffering.
It's it's just silly, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, K&B, Divoff, part 5, sold a ticket over here.
Or even like get the folks from Psycho Gorman. Like that would work too.
Oh, that's a really good call, actually. Yeah, there's our Stuart Wellington connection right there. Tube Man himself. Call him up, Stuart.
Make some calls.
Make some calls.
I just imagine the Tube Man like wearing sunglasses and just like on a headset.
Yes.
A very sort of
by a beach.
Yeah, 90s agent kind of guy.
Totally. Or with Stewart's workout bod by the beach with a Tube Man head, calling up, making calls. See what you can do. Anyway, let's just dive right into since we're talking about K&B effects. Favorite kill of this series.
Man, that's tough, but it's going to be from 1.
Yeah.
God, there's just so many good ones in 1, because like the guy's skeleton bursts out of him. I think about that effect a lot just because that's so cool.
Yes.
And just all the party mishaps, like even just the guy who gets his face caved in with a mace. They were just fun and neat to watch. So I'd probably go with one of those from 1, because I mean
the skeletons bursting out of the body is hands down my favorite. It was just too good. It was like the look on the skeleton's face after he jumps out of the body. What just was kind of like the 1-2 punch, that made me laugh even more afterwards.
Yeah, just ready to be a rascal. Love it.
Exactly, rascally skeleton. I hope that's how my skeleton is.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like when you start the first movie.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the idea of like the opinions expressed by Jim Skeleton are not those from Jim Incorporated.
Whole other person over here. I cannot be held to his ideas. Those are internal ideas, if you catch my meaning.
He just says what I'm all thinking.
Under the skin, if you will. Right. I don't have a terrible bone in my body. But when you open your first film of a franchise with 15 deaths just right out of the gate. It's and as you said before, it just the drop off is that much more apparent starting that way. But they do bring it back around for the ending party scene at Robert Englund's place. And that had a great one. That's got the piano wires.
Oh, the piano wires.
The
great.
Director.
Yeah, Kurtzman.
Yeah, that was solid.
That's a lot of the fun that's missing from the latter 2. It's even some of it's still even there in part 2, but like conceptually, I think my favorite kill is the guy getting turned into a pimple on an ass. That's you didn't do anything with it, but man, that's so funny. Yes. I love that as a way to go.
So would you want the humor of part 5 to be more in line with that, or would you want it to be more scaled back of like the quiet dignity of part 1 and 2.
Well, I think, the quiet dignity of a skeleton erupting from a guy's body. I think they could find a way to do that and do it tastefully. It's what I think.
Oh, so, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you could find a happy marriage. I want
the tasteful.
Yeah, please.
Yes, the tasteful pimple on the ass, please.
Nothing obscene.
We're not monsters or jinns. I'd like to find a positive out of part 3 and 4. I mean, I guess, the pimple on the ass of part 4. Mm-hmm. Part 3, it's hard to find. Yeah. It's hard to find a good death in that one.
Yeah. It's just dull.
Right. Like, as we discussed, like that one was just, it committed the cardinal sin of just being boring. Yeah. Like, you can be low budget. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Just don't be boring.
Yeah. They tried to cover up that lack of imagination with boobs, but even then that wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't even enough. It was lackluster. Like, it's still. Yeah. I'd rather have the imagination, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do we feel about the developing lore of Wishmaster? I admit I'm usually a sucker for a lot of the Catholic lore stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you throw in like real life angels and real life devils coming in at it. I like that kind of stuff just from a taste point of view. Man, can't wait to get to the prophecy movies. Uh-huh. But I thought that did add a little bit more, even though the execution was pretty terrible. It worked for me just in the sense of taking it out of like, they already did almost like the Terminator-esque part 1 well enough that I wanted another antagonist. And so if you're going to bring in an angel and a devil, that worked for me, even though the execution was kind of poor.
Yeah, I like the idea of the hunter that was introduced in part 4, even though, as we discussed, it was just an Adrian Paul guy that did nothing. But this thing that's also just there to kill the jinn, and I don't care about anything else. Like, I will mess you up too. That's just my job. If I have to have some collateral damage along the way, that's fine. But I got to save all of this as a whole. Rather than, and I guess I'd rather have that than be like to go to the big guns of Archangel Michael. That just seems like you're calling in a celebrity cameo real quick. And that just means you don't have any faith in your product.
Yeah, I do kind of forget about part 3 having an Archangel in it, just because it's just that doofy guy the entire time talking with his voice really low and his LARPer sword. But they were trying,
that was pretty weak, which is, I think, why I'd rather just have the hunter, because then it's like, well, okay, this is just a guy, but rather than like just this, it doesn't feel as much of a cheat as it being like, oh, it's the spirit inside this character that we already know. How convenient. But it would be cool if he was a little bit more magical himself.
I mean, you do raise a good point, because if the angel, the hunter angel, I guess, if he's coming down to just stop the apocalypse, but he's still going to kill nice old ladies in lingerie stores to get it done, then at least you could examine some sort of moral quandary where, the ends justify the means. We're doing this for God's kingdom, and I will kill people innocently, to make it happen. Does that mean that I want like an introspective scene of him sitting next to a campfire brooding, talking about his like his dark challenge and his what he must overcome? No, not really. That'll go stupidly grimdark real fast.
Yeah, you don't have to get that deep with it. You can just go think about it, right? Okay, let's have him fight.
Right.
The old Zack Snyder.
Right.
Yeah, it would be fun. And so I like that it already had the sort of built-in angels and devil thing. I just didn't like in the second one that sort of more reactionary, like, well, take out your piercings and cover yourself up. That is how you
oh God, I did forget about that.
That kind of sucks. But like the sort of more lore aspects of Catholicism and that kind of stuff. Sure, why not? Like, that sounds great.
Yeah, that did start, because there wasn't really any Catholicism in the first film, right?
No, it was just angels as a concept that gets mentioned, and then he also like the jinn were also created, and oh my gosh, fear them.
Got it. So yeah, in part 2, the pure of heart hokum, or whatever that was supposed to be, the Breakfast Club changeover, the makeover, basically.
The old Ali Sheedy.
Yeah, as I mentioned in that episode, like, I got really upset during that part and just like exclaimed to my television about that. But and that did have her chopping off her thumb.
Yeah, that was the weird Yakuza thing, which didn't make any sense.
Yes,
but yeah.
So that did start to introduce a religious aspect that was pretty half baked of her just being pure at heart.
Yeah, and that would be interesting too, though. Is that idea of not just write a Wishmaster movie, but the idea of like, so you're wishing for something.
No, please do.
You're wishing for something, and then that causes some bad stuff. What if you sacrificed something? What would that bring? Like, is it as a reversal thing? So like that as a concept is interesting, but as a reverse,
sure,
like as the way it was done into part 2. Which if I could get in here, like I've been teasing this since the first one, I never did it. It's a minor point, but the Wonder Woman thing.
Please,
it does not really matter, but just because I said it, I feel like I got to follow up on it. It's that, and I think, although you could argue that the underlying message is still there throughout them. My big problem with, because the Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 84, is essentially Wishmaster, because there's a magic wishing stone. And then Pedro Pascal's character like wants to become the wishing stone, so he becomes the Wishmaster. But the moral of that movie is not be careful what you wish for. It's don't wish. Don't wish. Don't want things. Just accept that you're shit. Like that's it. Yep. Whereas this one, it is like, in theory, you could get a good wish out of this. It's going to cost you your soul. And he's open about that. But a lot of times the negative stuff that happens is because you didn't word your wish, and he will correct you about it. So it's not just, you could still have your wildest dreams. You just make sure you say them right. He's very like bureaucratic in that way.
So are you saying that Patty Jenkins should stop her Rogue One, whatever her Star Wars spinoff movie is that we definitely don't need, and she should jump over to do Wishmaster?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Sure. I think as much as I think like that message of Wonder Woman was bad, I bet collaboration with Andrew Divoff would help.
Sorry, Gal Gadot. You're out. Andrew Divoff in. We got the new dream team.
He has some wires across. He's Wonder Woman now. Okay, well, that's fine too.
Yeah. Patty Jenkins goes, Andrew who?
Yeah. But that would be, I mean,
not exactly.
I just like that as a concept of like, that it is, yes, it is showing you the dangers of wishing, but it's not getting mad at you for wanting things.
Right. Yeah.
Or like sometimes the things you want suck, like the bum in the first one who could have shot for the moon, but was just like, give Reggie Bannister cancer.
And nobody should do that.
Because I mean, he got his wish, and nothing bad happened to him until it was time to claim the soul. So just make sure you know what you're signing.
That does bring up another good point, where the first one was so chock full of horror icons at the time. And usually I don't really go for that kind of stunt cameo casting, but since there were so damn many of them, it is part of the charm of the first movie. And you get the sense that they're all friends, hanging out, working together, doing something cool. So when it had 0 cameos going forward, that was a little bit of a letdown. It did feel like a different series at that point. I'm not sure who I would have wanted to see, though. Yeah, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, because there's so many in the first one. It also didn't seem like a lot of the casting was, hey, look who's doing this. It was like, no, we just got the actors to play this role. It wasn't like Tony Todd showing up selling candy. Oh, he's a candy man. Get it? It wasn't like that. You know?
Yeah. Robert Englund says, I dream of throwing parties like this.
It was just that like recognizable actors doing different roles. And I'd much rather have that than some winky nonsense. Let the goofiness happen in the effects.
It's fun to see those actors, especially somebody like Robert Englund, out of makeup
and doing
acting. And obviously he's done a lot of other movies like that, but just him being in a horror movie out of the Freddy Krueger makeup was fun.
I mean, same thing. Seeing Kane Hodder be a tough security guard guy. Liked him in this so much better than in Jason Goes to Hell.
Okay, so here's kind of an easy one. I don't really consider the wishing people or the wishers. These aren't really final girls, or are they? I know final girls get associated with slashers more. This is a little bit different. So maybe they are. Maybe there's somebody who, has written a book on this that could correct me. But I kind of always think of a final girl as a little bit more than this. But maybe I'm just being flippant here. What do you think? Are these final girls?
I mean, in a sense, and in the sense that in a lot of cases, it's that everyone else they know has died in the process of them doing this, but they don't necessarily across the board. They don't necessarily like become the thing that they're fighting, which happens a lot. Like, I'll turn around and kill you with your own weapon or something.
Oh, sure.
But I do think that they do in a sense that they like outsmart the Jinn, at least in the first couple. because in the first one, she figures out, oh, I got to wish correctly, so I'm going to just make this wish that undoes all this stuff. And in the second one, it's more of a, I'm pure of heart and I can get away with this now. I've gone through the ritual, so less of a usurping the power than just sort of like claiming their own. And then 3 and 4 is just like 3 is I got to have the magic sword that my buddy has. Like that was nothing. Yeah. And 4 again, like, it was sort of like, oh, me and Sam worked it out one last time. It just, I don't know. There wasn't much there. So it just felt kind of.
And even Sam is the one who's clever enough to wish for a weapon to defeat. So what does she do? Just shove.
Forward, like she doesn't really have much agency at all. Things just kind of happen to her, and that's it. Whereas in 3, is the one figuring out and fighting back a bit, and has the kind of final say, has the wherewithal to try to fight him, and then does make the sacrifice that she mentions earlier. Same thing in 2 and 1, but 4 is she just gets nothing.
Part 1, she has the sister that she wants to protect, and she's got the childhood trauma about a house catching on fire, which again, she then lights a whole bunch of candles at the foot of her bed while she sleeps. Still pisses me off.
That's a plot point in Terrifier 2. And I really started thinking about Wishmaster.
No.
Yeah. It's a tiny little thing, but I was just like, it's fine. And I was like, oh my God, don't do that.
So at least she feels a little bit more developed, and she's got, a family to look after and all that kind of thing. Yeah, these are not quite, they're not quite as developed and fun as, like, say, your Crystal Lake Final Girls.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I liked Tammy Lauren as Alexandra a lot in the first one, simply because she was very proactive in like trying to figure out what's going on and interviewing people and not taking a lot of mess from people. Like when she was talking to the folk teacher, real skeptical and forceful. And I liked that. And even I think Morgana in the second one, like, finds her footing a little bit as well. But then it's just a big downturn.
Yeah, she's a little cheeseball, but fine. She does start off the movie by shooting and killing somebody.
Right, yeah.
A security guard.
But it's fine. She wishes it away, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I think it's just, the scripts for the last couple are just real bad.
I think we're going to agree straight away on this one. This is very easy, but how would you rank these, and which ones would you watch again?
I would go 1, 2, 4, 3.
Me too.
And 3 is pretty distant. But I would definitely watch. I'd definitely watch 1 again. 2 maybe. Yeah. But 1 absolutely.
Yeah. I cannot see myself watching 2, 3, or 4 ever again.
Yeah.
4, like, I don't know. I'm developing a weird, in hindsight, appreciation for it because it was so goofy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm going to watch it again, especially when part 1 is sitting there all shiny and cool. So 1, I mean, by a country mile, as they say, part 1.
Right.
2, probably never again. I just can't see myself doing that one.
So if you were that one person on Twitter that bought the Blu-ray set, let us know what you think about it, because I feel bad. I feel like we've embezzled you out of.
Absolutely.
I think it's great that you want to follow along, but like, oh, this didn't turn out how we hoped.
Yes. I love it when people mention that they're following along and watching with us. And so, yes, if you are the person who bought the Blu-ray box set, didn't mean anything to bamboozle you into that one. But that, in all honesty, him posting that made me go right to the internet and purchase the physical copy of the box set of Saw because I was not about to be shamed into it. So good on you, buddy. Hope you'll stick around and watch Saw with us. But you did the right thing. Yeah, that's at Mizerock, if I'm saying that right. MIZE ROCK. Got it.
Yeah. Because he did not enjoy 3, so hopefully 4 they turned around on 4 a bit.
Yeah, did you like 4?
Yeah, let us know.
Did part 4 make the box set worthwhile?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a little bit of a last vestige in me of like wanting all of these collections, and obviously the rate at which things are being taken off of streaming services definitely concerns me, but at the same time it's just the collector part in me that wants to have the nice box set.
Well, and as I mentioned in that same Twitter thread, like I do still want to watch 3 just because I am a little bit interested in hearing Mind Freak Chris Angel talk about the process, not just from I think this is an artist and I'm very interested in what he has, but like working under that wild tight schedule, how that works. Just that's a thing that's kind of fascinating to me, but I don't know that I want to buy a Wishmaster Blu-ray set to find that out. I might go down to Movie Madness and rent it maybe, but I am still kind of curious about some of the behind the scenes of seeing the sausage get made.
Especially when somebody can be like very honest about the challenges that he was facing in a very fast production schedule like that. I like to hear about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is time to examine our body count guesses.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I feel like we needed its own little jingle right here. For, like a 5-second little jingle about
body count. It's the body count. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. So I listened back, of course. We were so wrapped up in our love of part 1 that we forgot to make our predictions. So we did make our predictions in part 2 after we had seen part 1 and part 2 and all the violence therein. Mm-hmm. So you, John, picked 150 deaths.
Oh God, yeah, no.
For 4
I should have guessed 4. I should have guessed 4.
I picked 110. Here again, though, as I think that I was just trying to give myself a lot of room in one of these episodes, I think it was part 2, that, I mean, I will admit that I played a little bit more fast and loose with these numbers than other series because, which ones of these people died? Maybe not everybody.
Yeah.
Frankly, in a couple of scenes, like in the casino, kind of hard to tell.
Right. Yeah.
And did they die from literally one playing card going into them?
Does pooping coins kill you? Immediately, or is it an overtime thing?
Listeners in the medical field, please write in.
Right in.
But so,
if you have ever pooped coins for a significant amount of time, please reach out.
Let us know. So you picked 150. I picked 110. Total 85.
I'm surprised it's that high.
That's still. I know. I mean, you're right. It's just it's 41 in the first movie, 28 in the second movie, 9 in part 3, and 7 in part 4. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I'm sure somebody could fudge those around a little bit. You might even get it up to like, say, 92 or something like that. But it's obviously the sharp drop off. And it's exactly what we were talking about in the part 2 episode, where I imagine the budgets will get smaller and there's no more party scenes. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I was lamenting the fact that part 3 should have ended in a giant, house party massacre where you could have done all kinds of stupid party tricks, but no budget for that kind of stuff. So yeah, we are at 85, but that's still law of averages. That's still pretty high. That's for 4 movies.
Yeah, that's not bad. Mm-hmm. It is interesting though, like because in the first one, the first couple, it seems like he's collecting. Well, in the first one, he's collecting the wishes to power up the gem because it's been destroyed.
Right.
In the second one, they add the caveat of he's got to have 10,000 wishes or whatever. So he's got to repair the gem, but then he needs that before he can get the final 3 wishes. Then that just gets thrown out of the window. And in the third and fourth one, he's just being a jerk about wishes. He doesn't need to do it, but he's just going to. It's just his way. It's the scorpion and the frog and all that.
Yeah, the jerkiest wish just being the I wish I could lose a few pounds, and then the liposuction on the stairs. Or
that was a good for the second 2. That's my close second place to the ass pimple.
Oh, sure.
Just because that was pretty inventive and gross and unnecessary. It's a shitty way to do it. But.
And he does say something about break a few hearts too. That one was another one of those. He didn't need to do that to collect souls. No. He was just running around murdering people at that point.
He was mad that she liked him. That was a sin, I guess.
All right. So, any last thoughts on Wishmaster?
Is
it just time to put this to bed and wish that Andrew Divoff could come back?
Yeah, Andrew Divoff and more budget for makeup and effects. Because as I said before, the digital effects in the last 2 aren't bad for what they're trying to do, and particularly of that time.
Yeah.
And so I'll absolutely give them that. The physical effects aren't as great, definitely, but to say something positive about them, I think that's worth noting for what little budget they had too. I thought they did a good job there. Yeah, but the makeup effects, just the gin wasn't as good. They tried to make it more detailed, but it's just.
Oh yeah, man. The way the makeup effects of the part 3 and 4 Jin were a severe drop off too. He just looked kind of like a oily biker guy, and not a cool mythological Jin.
Yeah, and it's a bummer just because it feels like there's so much more that could be done with this, because he is like Pinhead in that noticeable figure, this sort of charismatic figure. And it's about human desires and all that. It's much more on its face about it than the Hellraiser stuff, or at least it's less overtly sexualized as much as just You'll get the same punishment whether you just like want to explore the pleasures of the flesh or you want ice cream. Like it doesn't matter. So that kind of opens it up a bit.
I want to see Pinhead dropped into the Wishmaster universe then, and just trying to grant all of those desires. And he's just like, I thought this was going to be kinkier.
Yeah.
But no, you guys are all kind of boring.
What happens if the djinn opens the lament configuration? Because he can't really do much unless someone wishes. And so is he trying to trick trying to trick Hellraiser into wishing? That would be there's your Freddy versus
Jason. Tries to
Jason.
wish.
Yeah.
Pinhead. I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah.
Patent pending.
All right, that's my vote for part 5.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That'd be cool too.
Heard it
Why
here
not?
First.
We'll just use the same CG'd Hellraiser guy from Deader or whatever the last one was, or Revelations or something. I don't know.
Oh, the one before the new Hulu one.
Yeah, the one that was like the most cash in a movie could be. Just got to retain those rights.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
I would see more if they did more with it, because I think it's an interesting idea and you can do a lot with it. And if you can particularly if you want to keep that same goofy tone, I think that would serve you pretty well.
Agreed.
And just put Andrew Divoff in more stuff, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, I guess I could have looked it up, but I'm not even sure what he's doing, or I'm sure he's doing something.
Got some stuff coming up. He's in a movie called Camp Pleasant Lake as Evil Man, which makes sense. Yeah,
Ooh,
he's still working.
Working man.
Yeah.
Always have respect for the working journeyman actors here.
6 episodes of The Blacklist. Since something called the Hatred.
That's a successful show.
Yeah. Demons, Vaults, Perry Mason. He's a couple episodes of that Perry Mason show. Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War.
Oh,
I think he's got a reoccurring character in the Call of Duty game. So he's doing stuff. But he could be doing more, is my point.
Yes, I wish for Andrew Divoff.
If anyone has a spare $1 billion to give us to make Andrew Divoff's Wishmaster 5, go ahead and kick it our way, and we'll make sure it gets done.
Send it our way.
A special. We now have a Patreon. It's one level, and it's $1 billion to get Wishmaster 5 made. That's it.
And that's it. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for our Wishmaster wrap up. Again, I'm very glad that I went through all of them, even if part 1 is by far the best. I'm glad I filled in all those holes. And so, next week, we are going to move on to the Saw franchise. I think we mentioned last week. I think there's a good 10 of those. So I need to shut this thing off and pop that in my Blu-ray player tonight.
Yep.
Again, thanks to Mize Rocks, I got that immediately, and I'm gonna watch me some Jigsaw. I haven't watched that in good 10 years or so, and I know I watched it. I've probably only seen it like twice or so. So these will be fun to revisit, I think. Yeah,
I watched a bunch of them. I used to be friends and I would get together. This was years ago. Get together like every Monday and watch a movie. And there was we would have theme months. November was always Thanksgiving. We would watch a bunch of Tom Hanks movies, and then we'd end up having a big dinner that would be based on, you make dishes based on the different, like puns usually based on, like, so sleeves Basinci apple pie, Apollo 13 layer dip, that kind of thing. But it was a fun time.
Perfect.
But
the simpler times when we were younger in Portland.
So we did all the Saws one March, and I only saw some of them in that, but I'm curious to revisit them. I watched I just watched the short film that was all kind of built off of. That James Wan and Ray went all this. Yeah, that's available on YouTube. So you can check that out if you're to whet your appetite before you get into that. But looking forward to seeing how I feel about these, because I wasn't that big on them when they happened. But we'll see if my tastes have changed. All
right, everyone. So fire up those Blu-ray players. Pop in Saw Part 1 and wait around for us in about another week, and you'll hear us just anxiously waiting to hear what we think about Saw.
Do nothing but watch Saw until then. Like, that's really know it. Because there's going to be a quiz.
Right. Exactly. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Just the other podcast, John and Alex Hate Stuff. I'm on there. We just talked about The Menu was the latest episode we had up. That's sort of horror related, or horror adjacent anyway. But you can find us wherever podcasts are available. That's John, John, and Alex with 2 X's.
Good show. Check it out. You. And my other show is called Please Leave. It's a narrative horror podcast, short stories, post once a week. And there's about 30 of them or so. That's the mastermind. Courtney Eck is the writer and primary narrator with that one. So if you want to check out some original chilling tales, look for Please Leave wherever you find your podcasts. And we'll see you next week.
So long.
This has been a Two Penguins Media production. It was produced by James Strayer and edited by John C. Myers. Logo by Ethan Kimberling and music by Michael Arthur Holloway, who you can find on Bandcamp. Follow us on Instagram at This May Hurt a Bit Pod and on Twitter at Hurt a Bit. Email us at thismayhurtabit@gmail.com. And if you are so inclined, rate and review us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll see you next time.